Ladies and gentlemen, Josh is about to come on and truly help you be richer in a lot of different ways, especially with your mindset and creating the life of your dreams. Before we dive into that, you are someone who's becoming your greatest possible self. You're stepping up, you're stepping in, and I acknowledge you. Anything I could do to support you, send me a message. Let me know about your growth, your journey, how the show has made a difference for you. Let's talk. I want to build a relationship with you. I love you. You are a huge, huge impact on me, just being you, just showing up, continuing to support us with a 12-hour marathon. And I love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, subscribe to the show if you haven't done that yet so you can keep getting all the latest updates. And if you want to message me directly, facebook.com/th3burns. Instagram at I am millionaire Chris, email chris@beyourgps.com. Would love to hear from you, hear what your biggest takeaways are from the show, and continue to build our relationship. Next up is the iTunes review of the week, and this week it's by Helped Me Shed My Layers. I think they put that in the name instead of the title headline. Help Me Shed My Layers said, Chris is an inspiring breath of fresh air. This podcast will enlighten and encourage even the thickest skinned of us to shed the tough exterior and dive deeply inward. Thank you so much, Mr. or Miss Shed My Layers. And if you want to give us a review, go to iTunes, search on the Apple Podcast, Greatest Possible Self. Just type that in. You'll see our podcast come up. And I appreciate the feedback. Definitely subscribe so you can keep getting all the latest episodes and updates. We release a new episode every day. So let's do it. Let's keep growing together. Let's introduce Josh and bring him on the screen. Before that, though, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen. I'm sure he's going to be sharing tons of great resources and exercises and strategies. We've already been swapping some epic resources together, so I know he's full of wisdom. He's up to big things, and you're definitely going to want to stay tuned all the way through till the end because this guy's a freaking powerhouse, surrounded by legends, and he is an amazing human being himself. So stay tuned, and let's introduce him and bring him on the screen because Josh is on a mission to make mental health a conversation we can openly have. In his late 30s, he had become a depressed, anxiety-ridden, newly diagnosed bipolar, alcohol-dependent guy. Stress from his television career and shameful financial ruin from a failed tech startup finally caught up with him. To silence the mental pressure shrouded in dark stigmas, but they don't have to be. You are not flawed, broken, or to be shamed. You are in fact quite normal. The modern world is triggering the crap out of our brains. Amen. And we just haven't been taught how to manage it all mentally yet. Josh is passionate about coaching people because we absolutely can live healthy and balanced lives. You may not know it yet, but you have the power to rewire your own brain, giving you the freedom to have an incredibly happy and fruitful life, one that is of your own design. And we are blessed to have Josh with us here today. Josh, you ready to rock the house, my man?
Let's do this, Chris.
Dude,
seriously, man.
We're doing it. We're doing it, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on. I mean, what a great platform that you've built. I know that you have awesome, amazing fans that are showing up, doing the work, challenging themselves, going to those dark places that on the other side of there's so many fruits for your labor. So keep going. It's amazing. Congrats to you all. Congrats to you all.
Yeah, and thank you for everyone who's tuning in. You know, Josh and I see you. We acknowledge you for showing up, for doing the work, for tuning in, and having fun along the journey. Because it doesn't have to all be like doom and gloom and hard work. It could be a lot of fun, definitely.
We can absolutely have a good time.
Yes, I'm all about it. I'm all about that life, man. So, Josh, let's dive into the theme of today, which is the power of words. We just want to hear your perspective on what that means to you, the power of words.
Man, Chris, well, before I even woke up to the power of words, I had got into this bad cycle, this negative cycle of shame and failure and the tech startup that, you know, I poured everything into financially and emotionally and hope-wise and, you know, my identity as a man poured into. And so as that started to crumble and fall apart around me, so did everything fell apart, and myself and who I thought I was, who I thought I was becoming, what I was building, what I was creating. And that turned into a very dangerous cocktail of things that I was telling myself and things that I was associating with that I was a failure. I didn't have any worth. And that if I wasn't successful or making millions, I wasn't a man, and I wasn't, able to go out and be proud in the world of what I had accomplished. And because that tech startup that, all my friends and family and investors and, so many people had heard me talking about for years and years, because it was falling apart, it felt like a massive failure, and I felt like a failure in life. And all of those thoughts really just, I didn't realize, but I was rewiring my own brain negatively. And the neurons that fire together wire together. And if you're holding a lot of negativity and shame and pressure on yourself and negative self-talk, I all of those bad things we can get into the habit of saying, it was actually training my own brain, and I didn't know it. And that's what brought me to that sixth floor of that parking garage that day, when I had finally failed work, which was the final frontier that I had shielded, and been able to compartmentalize. And I thought I was hiding my crash and my downfall. And when I finally couldn't show up for work, that was it. I was like, I got nothing left. And that felt like a massive failure. And so standing there on the sixth floor of the parking garage, I looked over the edge and said, man, I know how to stop that noise and that like deafening pressure on myself. And that seemed like a viable way to just create peace in my life. And I didn't know that I could do that from within. So yeah, I'm on a huge mission to teach people that be really careful what you're holding in your brain and what you're telling yourself and the stories you're believing, because those do have an impact. And you might not think that, just mumbling, when you mess something up, mumbling, I'm so stupid. You might not think that has an impact, but those little affirmations add up to a lot. And when you're telling yourself that over and over and over again, man, you're just creating this negative world. And gosh, Chris, we spend our whole lives with this one person.
Yeah,
This is all we got. And if this isn't a beautiful place to live up here, this becomes filled with a whole lot of negative beliefs and negative self-talk, then man, walking through life can get real dark real fast. So I hate to come out heavy and serious, but we can go light and fun from here on out.
No, this is great. I appreciate your authenticity. I appreciate you getting our audience present to that moment in your life. I think it's really, really powerful, because sometimes we can pretend like everything is sunshine and rainbows, and in my opinion, you can't transform your life until you're willing to look into the darkness, peer over the sixth floor of a parking garage down to the ground and like look at, wow, there's like darkness there. There's darkness in my life. I'm present to something's not quite right, So I really, really appreciate you sharing that perspective, because it was a part of your journey. And it's the reason why you're such a strong stand and advocate for people to really rewire their brain today and empower themselves. So, dude, I love that you had the strength and you had the persistence, the tenacity, and willingness to confront that. And look at how freaking far you've come, man. It's beautiful.
Oh man, I'm so grateful for my crash, and it took me a while to get there. But when we realize the gifts, and when we're open to the gifts, and when we're not just shaking our fists at the world and saying, why me, why did all this happen to me, and that was me for a lot of years. And when you can get past that and see the gifts and see that, gosh, man, I remember I was on the phone with my mom years after my crash, probably 2 years after my crash, and I was talking to her, and it hit me. It was like, boom, this ton of bricks came down. I realized that whole time I thought I was building a side business, and I kept checking in. Like, as I got further out on a limb and exposed on this financial branch, and I poured more money and more time and more hope into this side business, this tech company, here I thought I was building a business, and the feeling kept coming back. Yes, keep going, keep going, keep going. And so I followed that, and I got really bitter when it started to crash and fall apart, and we had all these horrible things happen. I got really bitter at the universe and at God and at the world, and I was like, why did you let me continue? Why did that feel right? And then boom, when I was on the phone with my mom, it hit me. I was like, wow, I wasn't building a business at all that whole time. I was building me. And
What?
dude, I
Damn.
started bawling, and
Damn.
it was like I was just so filled with gratitude at that time. So all that negativity for almost 10 years. I mean, it was a long run.
Wow.
So to have a 10-year lesson where the whole time I was just angry and frustrated, and at the end of it to go, oh my God, that was the gift. That
Mm.
was
Wow.
that process was the process to build me and to guide me to where I need to be in the second part of my life,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
which is teaching other people how to do it, which feels so authentic. It feels so
Mm.
wonderful. And so yeah, it all had to happen.
Dude.
And
Dude,
I'm
this
just
is
so
so
grateful.
powerful. So powerful, man. This is gold. And I want to know what were some of the biggest lessons that you learned from that phase? What were you not doing back then in that time that you're now making sure that you execute and implement on in your life?
Yeah, well, I started out, when I left that parking garage, I was a shell of a person, and
Yeah.
I really didn't have much to go from, except that I knew I had to do a lot of things different. And I was like, okay, to get out of this, the way I'm doing life isn't working
Right.
clearly.
Right.
I was like, man, this just isn't. So I got to start to change some things. And I had read a book about a tech startup guy up in Silicon Valley who had a horrible crash, and I associated to him, and I remembered that book, and so I picked it up again, and it was a very simple book. It's called "Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It,"
Hmm.
and I reread that book, and he tried an experiment where he said, "I love myself, I love myself, I love myself," and he said that all day, every day, for a month,
Hmm.
and his whole life turned around, and the depression he was under, couldn't get off the couch for weeks, much like I was at the
Yeah.
time. Like, it all turned around, and opportunities came forward to him, and
Wow.
his life just turned positive. And so I thought, at this bottom point of my life, I said, you know what, screw it, I,
Nothing to lose.
I got, yeah, yeah, it can't get any worse. And so I decided to vlog about it. I was going to
Wow.
hold myself accountable by pointing the camera on myself,
Wow.
which coming from TV and being behind the camera my whole life, it's really weird to throw yourself in front of the camera, and I'm still getting used to it. But but so I vlogged about it, and I too had this massive transformation. And
Yeah.
it was like, lightness came into my life, forgiveness, compassion, where I had been so pressure filled and hard on myself. And I know a lot of guys can relate to that too, because we are taught to just like grind it out and force life to bend to your will. And if it's not
Mm-hmm.
happening your way, just keep working harder and sleep less. And, you know, and so that was me.
Wow.
And man, this lightness, this compassion, there started to be like space between my thoughts and breath. And so I was like, wow, this is amazing. After the end of that month, I said, this whole repetition thing, there's something to this. And so I
Mm.
just started experimenting on myself, really. And I would come to study the neuroscience of it later. I studied neuroscience for 3.5 years afterwards because I wanted to understand all this,
Yep.
and see what I could make repeatable to help other people. So I realized that there's this amazing thing. The brain is an incredible tool, and
Mm.
we so are missing a handbook for this thing. But
Yep.
repetition is this really, really cool thing. Your brain only takes up 10% of your body mass,
Hmm.
but it takes up 30% of your body's energy. So it's an energy hog. And so anything that you think over and over and over in your mind, repeatedly,
Yeah.
it starts to draw on the body's energy, and your brain doesn't like that. It says, whoa, 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 time out. Why are you thinking this thing over and over again? You keep taking up all of our energy, and then you keep doing it. And around about the days that what I've read is between days 21 and 30, your
Mhm.
brain goes, all right, stop. I get it. You want to keep holding this thing in your mind. So I'm going to implant it to the deeper automated part of the brain,
Damn.
where what's controlled with, or that's breathing is controlled by, heart rate, all of that. And that takes up way less energy
Wow.
than your conscious part of your brain.
Right.
So I had kind of unlocked this cool hack in the brain that the brain will install what you keep holding in your mind. And so I was like, after the month of self love, I was like, whoa, this is super cool. What else
Mm.
can I put in there?
Yeah.
And coming from years of success training, I know we talked about that a little bit. I did almost 10 years of success seminars. And I mean, even that to me, when I was on the sixth floor of the garage, I was like, how could somebody who's so well trained be at this point? And it's because I was stuck in those old ruts. And so these are ways we can install new patterns. And so after the month of self-love, I was like, all right, what is one word? If I could pick one word for my crash, what would it be? And I was like, it would be the word should. Like all that pressure we put on ourselves. It was like, I should have seen the financial problems coming. I should have worked harder. I should have done this differently. I shouldn't have done that. And it was like I was using this word against me and against myself so often that I was like, all right, I got to get this word out. So it was like, okay, for month 2 after leaving the garage, I did a reframe. I switched the word from should to could. So anytime I said it out loud or talking to somebody else, I would back up and restate the sentence with the word could. And the word could has lightness. There's option. There's not that pressure. And so again, around about 23 days, my brain did the flip for me, and I was able to eradicate the word. And taking the word should off of myself, man, like I felt like I was just dropping heavy bags filled with lead and sand. And it was just like my life got lighter, and their joy started coming back into my life, and appreciation for the things that I did have, instead of focusing on all the stuff that I didn't have or that I was working towards. And this
is gold. I want to highlight this because the should, it's heavy, because what I see it as, it's like obligation. Like when you are obligated to something, you're trapped. You're a prisoner, right? You have to do it whether you like it or not, and that takes away the whole experience of free will. And that's why we're here on this journey, to believe that we create our reality, and we have choice in what we do, how we show up in our life. So I love taking should, which is an obligation, have to, like I have to do this, and move it to could. Well, I could do that, and it makes it more lighter, more possibility, more options. So I love that. And one thing I do personally is I say either I get to today, like I get to do X, Y, and Z, or even more. I just learned it on the marathon a couple of weeks ago. I'm blessed to. I'm blessed to do this. I'm blessed to do this 12-hour marathon. I'm blessed to serve people. I'm blessed to take the trash out. I'm blessed to do the dishes. I'm blessed, and it just it feels so good.
And you're absolutely right, man. There are people in this world that would kill to have the obligations that we do, and so to stop and really just take that in and feel grateful for that opportunity to even have to take the trash out instead of living in a dumpster or living in filth and trash. So man, you nailed it. 100%.
I love it, Josh. So you started changing your thoughts, and then you were like focusing on neuroscience as well, and then you wrote this book, right? Tell us about how like the journey unfolded from there, man.
Well then, so that was month 2. Month 3, I started a gratitude practice where I wake up every morning and I write down 10 things I'm grateful for.
I love it.
I do a positive I am statement, because I realized I was using all of these negative I ams against myself. I'm a failure, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or all the silly things that we tell ourselves that just aren't true.
Right.
So I started flipping those lies every morning. I would ask myself, what's a lie I'm believing today? Damn. And I would flip that into a positive I am. So if it's like I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm too tired to get through the day. It's like, am I really too tired? Am I going to die at 5 o'clock? Am I just going to go tets up and buy the farm and that's it? The day's over? No, man. So it's just plain not true. So I would flip that into, I am more powerful than I give myself credit for. And that would be a positive I am for the day. And then I write an attaboy from the day before, which is celebrating a win, because I was stuck in the entrepreneur mindset of always pushing for more, striving for more, and never celebrating my wins. And so that was another area of positivity to infuse in the brain and keep the practice up. And then I would do an intention for the day and really set the tone for the day. And then I do this every morning. And that practice alone, man, changed my world so huge. And I'm so grateful for that practice. And the appreciation it's brought me for everything in my life, and small and big.
Yep.
And I was, before my crash, I was living in a 3-bedroom apartment or house in Burbank with a pool and a beautiful backyard. And after my crash, I lost everything. And I was happier renting a room in an apartment than I was with that whole house and the pool and all that stuff. And so it wasn't the things at all. It's generated from within. And I think that's the biggest thing I want people to know is that we too often, life happens to us from the outside, and it generates an emotion or a feeling. Mm-hmm. And so we get caught in this belief that external things are what bring us happiness or pain. And that the only way to get happiness then is from external things. And we get caught in this belief. And we don't truly believe that we can generate happiness from within us, and that we have that control to change our world by changing our thought patterns and thus changing our emotions and giving us a whole new experience in life. And so I think that's like the number one thing I love sharing with people is your outside world doesn't control your inner state. Nope. And you 1000% have control over that. And so, but yes, and we haven't been taught that. And so I get it. It's weird and it's tough at first. And, some of these tools are the ways that you can daily start to rewire those neural networks in your brain. And you are creating new neural pathways, and it does grow your brain. The gray matter, they've proven through multiple studies that gray matter in your brain can grow. So you can grow your brain.
Damn. Dude,
super cool.
I love it. It's like it's the neuroplasticity, people thinking that they're locked into a certain way of being. This is who I am. That's who I am. Sorry, I can't change it. It's like, no, yes, you can. You can do anything you set your mind to if you're willing to like let go of who you used to be, and step into a whole new way of being and behaviors and way of thinking and energy that goes with that.
Yeah, you said yourself you were a shy guy when you were younger. And it's like, I do not see a shy person sitting in front of me today. So had you subscribed to those beliefs the rest of your life, man, you wouldn't know the Chris that you are today, No. It's like, I know. And I too, I had to, I was misdiagnosed when I was young with ADD. And I'm actually bipolar, and it's something that I had to deal with and had to work with as an adult. And that comes with an active racing mind that runs pretty hot. And so that's why too I had to learn all this to create balance and peace in my life. But when I was young, I was misdiagnosed, and so they gave me Ritalin as in 3rd grade. And so I thought as a kid, with not being able to put things together properly in a young mind, I thought I had to take a pill to be equal to the other kids. And so then I was like, what does that mean? That means I'm stupid. And man, I bought into that belief, hook, line, and sinker. And it took me till my late 20s to shed that, but it affected the jobs I applied for, the things that I thought I could do and achieve in my life. Subscribing to that lie, because it is a lie. It's not based in truth. It's not based in reality. And so, that lie really affected what I thought I could do and achieve and go out for in my life. So these beliefs are strong. It's like, man, and a lot of them aren't based in reality whatsoever. Right.
It's just stories that we picked up, interpretations of reality that we said, that's the truth. That's how it is. I'm dumb. I'm not enough. I'm not lovable, right? All this junk. It's like, no, like that's not the truth. It's whatever we say we are. And I think it's interesting because it's like, on one hand, it's yes, whatever you choose, whatever you say you are, whatever you reinforce. I choose to take even more like a higher spiritual nature to, hey, dude, I'm bored of stardust. I'm a divine being of light. Like I am infinitely worthy, infinitely abundant, infinitely prosperous, and successful. Like there's no amount of external thing that could ever measure up to just being.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I heard somebody call it reverse paranoia, where where you think that the entire universe is conspiring for you.
Yep.
And I loved that, and I love thinking that way, because it's like, yeah, when you do start to, I mean, your brain, your reality, there's no difference inside your head between an actual event or a thought experience. They are equally the same, and they are equally real in your mind. So, man, let's meditate. Let's create some awesome experiences. Let's like build this awesome place in our minds. Let's buy into reverse paranoia. Yeah, man, everything in the universe is working for me. And if it's not exactly happening my way, it's because it's happening for me in a better way down the road that I don't see yet.
That's right.
And so it's like, when you start buying into that stuff and believing in that, and really just kind of like surrendering and letting go to the whole experience of it all, and trusting that all of this is for our greater good, and we are learning the things we need to learn. It's like, man, that's when life really starts to become fun and just blissful. And, you just start to appreciate every little thing, and I hate to even call it bad stuff, because it's like, now I see them as opportunities.
Yeah, it's contrast, opportunities, gifts. Yep.
Yeah.
So also, you said something you said made me think of God, universe, source, creator never says no. It just says, not yet. It's on its way, or something like that. Or I have something even better planned for you, right? Like whenever we pray or ask for something, it's like not yet, or it's something's even better is coming. So I love thinking that way, that we're always being guided. The reverse paranoia is awesome. So tell us about the book. I know you're currently rewriting it, and you wrote it. So tell us more about that, man.
So the book is called Ship for Brains, SHIP. And that's because I watched it was some TV show about cruise ships, and I like learning when I watch TV, and so it was some Nova thing or something like that. Cruise ships are such large objects that they're susceptible to winds and to the currents of the ocean, and that actually a cruise ship is off course most of the time. The captain is slightly course correcting, little adjustments as he sails along throughout the ocean. Well, in my experience, and I think a lot of people's experience, we don't know that there's a control room in the ship, and the brain, where we have control. And so I was on the bow of my ship, yelling at the winds and yelling at the waves, the things that I couldn't control, and the things in life that we'll never be able to control. And I was trying to read the winds and read the conditions, and it was like I was wasting all of this energy, exhausting myself on the bow of my ship, whereas all I needed to do was get off the bow, get up into the control room, the brain, figure out what a few of these buttons and knobs do, what a few of these hacks are, and then actually just course correct slightly more often, through controlling our thoughts and controlling our habits and good behaviors. And that makes it so much easier to sail to your goal, rather than going way off course one way and then having to sail all the way back the other way and zigzagging. I was like zigzagging across the Atlantic forever. And so that's why it's essentially called Ship for Brains. And then I've created an online course. Again, I'm sort of a voracious problem solver. I kind of just like want to know why everything works, and that's why I studied so much in the brain. And so I was like, man, how can I make this repeatable for somebody else to follow? And so I created an 8-week course, and I wrote the book. And these were all like 2 years ago. And I'm in the middle. I've learned so much more, and I feel like I can give so much more to people. And so I'm in the middle of a rewrite, and the book's really strong. It's all of this is coming out again this fall. And I'm reshooting my 8-week course. So it's an 8-week video course, a half hour or less video a week, one tool to remember each week, and something to think about. And they're all mental exercises mostly, except for the gratitude list. And then for the gratitude list, I'm creating an app. So you can do that digitally and use the push notifications to remind you of daily affirmations. And so I'm really trying to build a lot of tools to just immerse people in this whole kind of like positive thinking experience that ends up translating into a positive life. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do with all these tools, and what I'm you know, it's all backed in deep science and deep studies. So even though I haven't launched anything yet, I'm really, really hopeful and really excited that these are going to do some pretty cool things.
Definitely, man. And I know one of the communities you really want to impact is the recovery community. Can you share a little bit more about why that's on your heart, or the impact that you want to make with them?
Definitely. Well, you know, I think it's all too common. Like like you talked about in the intro, the modern world is triggering the crap out of us, and our brains really evolved in a much slower time. And it's interesting too. The brain is a really bad judge of sort of severity of things. So when you are rejected on social media, or you know, something like that happens, it feels like death. And if you think about it, back in the time, the hundreds of thousands of years our brains evolved, and we lived in tribes and villages, if you were rejected from the tribe and forced out onto the plains on your own, it might actually mean death. I mean, being surrounded by a group is much safer than being out exposed on your own. And so it seems like simple things these days, but in your brain, they're really huge events. And so, yeah, we're getting triggered, and it's so prevalent now that people use drugs, alcohol, sex, even obsessively working out. Things that seem positive can be used as an escape,
numbing,
avoiding. Numbing, exactly. And I fell victim to that too. I very much used alcohol during my crash, and I abused alcohol to quiet my brain and to escape and to create that peace and quiet. And so I did, man. I went to rehab. I went to treatment, and this is where I woke up, was there, and that's sort of at the lowest point of my life. And so yeah, I'm really passionate about helping the people that think the only way to get out of this is through numbing. Again, it's that belief that something external will change your internal state, you know, and that by taking that alcohol, it creates that relief. Well, we can create that relief on our own. And it greatly takes away your need to numb, or, you know, just watch TV to tune out the bad, crappy day that you had. You know, it's like we have tools, we just haven't been taught. Yeah.
And I love that. It's like, if only we were taught when we were growing up how to deal with these emotions and change our thinking. And, you know, thank God, thank the universe, whatever, that this awareness, this information is just like spreading so fast. You know, it's like we are on the forefront, the cutting edge of this enlightenment age, of people getting this wisdom, getting the knowledge and the information, the training, the support, coaching, apps, you know, books, seminars, whatever it is. Like, there's so many different channels that people can get what they need in the method and the modality that they best learn in. Because some people might want to just start with an app, you know, and like they're always on their phone. They're just like, man, I'm always on my phone. I just need something to remind me to be more positive. And then some people might not use technology that much, and they want to go to like live events, and that being around people, being in community is like super important for them. So for everyone, there's something for them, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's a really fun time, and I do believe that we're in sort of a moment in our evolution that we are moving from surviving into thriving. And the seas, the tides are rising, and it's raising all ships. You know, we're all coming up in consciousness and awareness, and there are so many tools and so many beautiful people like you that are spreading this amazing message. And so it's a very fun time, and it's really cool to see. And it's just like, I just want to reach as many people as I can and help them wake up to their thoughts and the power they have. It's just, it's such a fun quest, because man, when I was asleep at the wheel, I had no idea. It was like, I mean, I don't know how you were before you woke up, but it was like I was just reacting to the world.
I was a jerk. I was a dick.
Well, I'm glad I didn't know the Chris then,
A
right?
know it,
You
a
know?
know it all that like didn't need anybody, man. That was me.
Wow. Yeah. 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 No, and I was, all of my decisions were fear based
Yeah,
and shame based,
yeah.
and and trying to hide my biggest thing. I think there was a really cool email. What started all this for me? I got an email from a woman who I was on her mailing list. She was some uh, so basically some self help or coach or something like that.
Right.
And I can't remember who she was, but in her email there was this one line, and it was, "What you are most afraid to show the world
Mm,
is your greatest gift."
mm,
And at that point I was like, wow, what? And I knew exactly what it was. Like, as soon as I read it, I was like, that I'm bipolar, and that I
mm,
went to treatment, and that I had this massive crash, and that I was a failure, and all of that was happening around that time, and that was really my turnaround to go, okay,
yeah.
um, there's something to say in all of this, and there's something to, if a bipolar alcoholic who was numbing and couldn't control his thoughts can turn all this around, then that might give hope to somebody else too.
Definitely.
So
Definitely. There's healing through sharing your story, number one, because you get to like just say, man, like I'm tired of keeping this stuff down. It's time to release it. And I think that there's a journey of willingness to being able to share that. It might start in a one-on-one conversation with someone who you really trust, it might start in a
sure.
in an AA or NA meeting, it might start at these different places, but eventually you start saying, well, like if I can share it there, then I can share it on social media and just let people know, like, this is something I dealt with. I was ashamed. I was really, disempowered by it. But it's something I've been working on. I will continue to work on, and I'm overcoming. I'm the victor of this. I'm the champion over this. This has no control over me. Like, I'm way more powerful than this. And it's like sharing a story like that gives people permission to just be themselves. Like, man, like if Chris is dealing with this, if Josh is dealing with this, like what,
Yeah,
like
man.
I can just be me.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally. Yeah,
yeah,
it does. It gives people a chance to feel and a chance to heal,
yeah,
and that's the true gift. And it's
yeah.
like, man, if that's, the gifts that I've received, and the insights, and just the beautiful life that I have by forgiving myself,
Mm,
and yes, that's part of my story, but it's not define it doesn't define me.
right.
I'm so much more. And so that gift that's come out of all of this has just been so beautiful, and I deeply feel just blessed and grateful that all of it happened. And
Mm,
to say that even sounds crazy, but
yeah,
it is. I'm just so grateful. So
yeah. Well, I think it's a like according to society to say I'm grateful for pain, I'm grateful for suffering, I'm grateful for the lessons, the gifts that were not easy. Like people are like, why would you be grateful for that? And it's when we can like just totally trust and accept and love ourselves through that, and just
yeah.
say, you know what, like that was an aspect of me. And this is something I've been like, it's been coming up for me recently, is like I mentioned I was a jerk before, right? Like when I was 18, 21, the know-it-all, the ego, right, was just
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
running rampant. There's a time and a place for that Chris to come out. And
Sure.
like if I got to
Yeah.
take the wheel and steer, if I got to take command, take charge of a situation, if there's someone who's like being a jerk to me, being verbally abusive, then I might have to escalate to that. So I don't want to be afraid of that. I just get
Yeah.
to say that's something I only use responsibly, and I have discernment, I have wisdom over that. It was running my life. Now I channel it. I'm a powerful channeler of rage. Anger and rage are such powerful emotions to get people into momentum, to get them
Yeah.
started. If people are stuck and like apathetic and depressed, channel that into anger in a healthy way to get you
Yeah.
in momentum so that you can get things like gratitude and appreciation.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are useful tools, and there is a reason that we have been who we were, and all of that too.
Yeah.
So it's so amazing. And there are, it's it's the culmination, growing how we've. I used to think when I was going to all those success seminars. I think what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say is when I was going to all the success seminars, I thought there was going to be some one big aha thing that was going to change my life and turn it around. And I was going to be like, boom, all the lights just came on in the room. And I'm like, I get it now. And I see it now. And you're already shaking your head. You know it's coming. It's a, a bunch of tiny little baby things that I always thought, when I get this, I'll be happy.
Yep.
When I make my first million, and then I can take care of my body and work out and eat better. But for now, I just need to eat this quick thing to get me through so I can keep working. And it's like, no, sleep hygiene, a gratitude list, putting good fuel in your body, moving your body, going out for hikes or walks or working out. And it's like all of those tiny little things that you wouldn't think make a difference. Here's an example. Okay, so I love to use this one because people get it. When you're going to buy a car, a new car, and you look up that car online, well, that vehicle was always there before. Right. That car was on the road, but you just never noticed it. And now that you start shopping for that car, you see it everywhere. You see it in the parking lot at the grocery store, and you see it, on the other side of the highway going the other way. You start to see it everywhere.
Yep.
And it's not that 1,000 people went out and bought that car the night before, and now there's a ton more on the road.
Right.
It's that our brains are these amazing tools at filtering the world. And because we're bombarded with thousands of bits of information all day long, and your brain is dismissing what's not dangerous or what's not important. And so you literally don't even see it. Your brain's just dismissing these things and only showing you what's important or what you've been focusing on. So when you're caught in these negative ruts and negative cycles, your brain finds negativity in the world and highlights it, just like that car. And the opposite happens when you start thinking, when you start a gratitude list and you start appreciating the things that you do have. You'll walk outside and go, oh, wow, it's a beautiful day today. Whereas when you're this negative, just, focused in, gruff, angry entrepreneur that's, pissed off about this or that, you walk outside and you're stuck in your head about all the shit that's going wrong. Sorry. I don't know if you swear on here.
You swear.
But so yeah, it's not just like, meditating, thinking happy thoughts. It's not just a happy way to live. It actually filters what you see and your experience in life. So your life actually does change, like literally changes all around you, because your brain starts finding these things in the world that you just straight didn't see before. And so and they call it manifesting, and they call it, these, there's some woo-woo things that it sounds like, hey, happy thoughts. Yay. But no, it's like the brain actually now finds those things. So your life does change. It literally does. And so super, super cool stuff. I mean, it's just like, man, I've read so many books on the brain and what it can do. And it's an amazing tool. My next book will be The Missing Handbook for the Brain.
Yeah, dude, it's like so untapped, the potential, the abilities of our brain, of our bodies, so untapped. We are so asleep to that level of power, and every day is another opportunity to reconnect and remember what we are equipped with from birth and really step into that power, man. So Josh, this is gold, man. I love it. And I want to talk to you a little bit more. We haven't talked about it much yet, but you being on the set of Shark Tank, which is freaking awesome, dude. I want to hear some of the biggest lessons and tell people about what you do on Shark Tank, and just tell us about your experience, man.
Yeah, totally. So I've had a really great TV career, and even though I've been trying to get out for years, I'm super grateful. And I've been a part of some really awesome shows. I was on Deadwood back in the day, and I did Key and Peele. I did the new Twin Peaks, and I've been on Shark Tank for 11 years. So some really, really just fun, creative projects where I got to just be a super creative being and just pump out some wacky stuff, especially those years I did with Comedy Central. But But no, man, Shark Tank has been like, gosh, I feel like I've gotten my MBA on the show just through osmosis,
Yep.
through
Yep.
being on set with the sharks every day. And so what I do myself is for the entrepreneurs. So
Wow.
a lot of them don't know like design, or they'll just have some trade show stuff. I mean, a lot of your listeners are entrepreneurs, so they
Right.
know. It's like, you know, if I said, hey, come on TV and explain your idea in the best visual way you can, some people are like, you know. So we help them communicate their
Wow.
idea, their problem that they're solving, you
That's
know,
amazing.
their business in a visually engaging way for the sharks, not only the sharks, but for the 9.4 million viewers we have that are watching through the lens of the camera at, you know, on their TV at home. So
Damn.
we're designing for the close-up shots and for the you know, for those really cool, like, you know, rack focus from the
Yeah.
entrepreneur to their table with their cool solution on there. And
Yep.
so that's what we offer every one of the entrepreneurs. So we'll design for about 200 a season.
Wow. Wow.
And which is crazy. And so they ship all their stuff from LA. We connect them with builders, with rental houses, with graphics printers.
Wow.
We just spitball all these creative ideas, and they either go for it or they don't. And
Right.
we're just there to help. So it's like,
Damn.
man, I get paid to help entrepreneurs, which
So
is
amazing.
so much
Wow.
fun in its own right. And then working with the sharks, so we get about 10 minutes between from one pitch to the next. So I have 10 minutes to strike one display
Right.
with our team. We have an amazing team working with us that are super awesome guys, and all awesomely talented as well. And so we strike one setup while the sharks are in their chairs and on their phones and doing their social media, and the makeup people are touching them up, and we bring out this whole new world and set up the whole next display for the next entrepreneurs, and then boom, they walk down the hall. And and I think what a lot of people don't know is that the sharks have like no idea who these people are. We hide all of our production materials, so they don't get to see any of the business names.
Right.
They can't look up any of these companies beforehand. So truly, when those people walk down the hall, and we don't stop the cameras, so they do their pitch, and it rolls into Q&A, and the cameras roll for as long as Q&A goes. So our shortest pitch was 22 minutes, and our longest pitch was over 2 hours.
Damn.
And so our whole day is in flux. We have no idea how the day is going to go. And so we just all have to stay flexible. And so we try and shoot 10 pitches a day, which is it's a lot. And we do that in about a 12-hour day.
Damn.
And the sharks are amazing. I mean, to stay focused like that intently. And I even asked Cuban one time, I was like, man, you guys are so good at finding like the smallest crack in a business and exposing this crack and figuring out the problem. And I said, you guys can smell this from like a mile away. I was like, how did you get to that point where you're that good? And I said, what is it, skill or some talent that you have, or did you just screw up that many times? And Cuban looked me dead in the eyes and said, yeah, man, I effed up a lot. And so I was like, got it. Okay. It's on the back of those bad experiences, that learning, you know, that he now is this like super genius on things, on problems that these businesses have. And so it's been really inspiring working with all of them. And they're really, really cool people. They're just so pro business. They always ask me how this is going, how the book's coming along. Damon John jumped on my podcast to support me. And so I was like, man, seriously? I asked him just thinking that I was going to get a no. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, your family, dude, let's do it. And I was like, wow, really?
Damn.
And so he showed up, and it was just like, they're such cool people because they've come from nothing, and they know the fight that all of you are doing, that I was doing. It's a universal struggle, entrepreneurship, and building tools for people to make their lives better. You know, that's what all business is, really. It's solving problems and making people's lives better.
Yeah.
And so they get it big time.
So they are solving a lot of problems, right? Like the
Yeah.
size that a business grows to is proportional to the number and size of problems solved. So
Yeah.
they've achieved shark rank, so to speak, and being successful through their problem solved. Josh, I see you solving that level of problems in the world and solving a lot of people's problems. Is that something that you are excited or on the journey to make that level of impact in the world?
Oh yeah, it's like
Yeah.
that numbing tool, the numbing that we do, and the believing that we are our brains and we are those negative thought patterns. Like,
Mm.
yeah, that's universal across the world, across any language. I mean, we're
Yep.
all in our heads,
Yeah.
and so many of us struggle with that. So yeah, I was like, man, when I started figuring this stuff out, I was like, God, I gotta share it with the world. I just
Thinking
felt
big, thinking
I
big.
yeah, but it was like there too, as we grow, it's
Yeah.
like I had to raise my ceiling
Yep.
and be like, how can I give on a global level? And I
Yeah.
had to accept that role and go, man, and get past those fears of like, who am I to teach this stuff? Who am I
Yeah.
to, I don't have a psych degree. I don't have, nifty letters at the end of my name. And I don't, I didn't come from some school, but then
Yeah.
I look at the sharks and I look at other examples in the world, and I'm
Yep.
like, and I draw. When you can't draw from your own, I guess, power yet,
Mhm.
look to the world, look
That's
to
right.
reality,
That's right.
and say, is this belief that's going on in my head? Is
Mm.
it based in truth? Can somebody break through that and not have, Tony Robbins doesn't have a psych degree, and it's
Yep.
like, he was just a study of humans and the human
Mm.
condition, and I feel like that's kind of, we all are too, yourself, myself, and so yeah, it's like, but it is hard to get past that stuff, and I'll fully admit that that was real
Yeah.
in the beginning, and so to keep answering that call and to keep believing that you can, and
Yep.
blowing and stretching those bounds, stretching that bubble of what you think you can do and you can achieve, and making yourself uncomfortable, I
Yeah.
think is a really fun tool when you can start to embrace that,
Mm.
because that discomfort is your growth,
I love
and
it.
that's where the magic is happening. So I think it was last year or the year before, my New Year's resolution was to be uncomfortable that year a lot.
Wow.
And man,
That's good.
I sure manifested that one, because that was a really weird year.
Yeah.
I was really uncomfortable, and so yeah, in some ways I got to be careful what I wish for now. But yeah, that discomfort is your growth and is your stretching. And I'm not going to say everything perfect, and I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be able to command the stage like Tony could right
Right.
out of the gates, and
Right.
I'm going to fail, and life is sticky and messy and dirty, and it never quite goes your way, and there's tech failures, and things work and audio will drop out, and you know what, all that's okay.
Yep. Yep. You just keep rolling, It's like that ability to stay centered and peaceful and joyous and trusting that everything is working
Yeah,
out in the storm,
yeah,
that's like really powerful people, powerful human beings that create their reality and great leaders to work with as well, man. So this is gold, Josh.
yeah.
I know everyone has loved this conversation. They want to continue their journey. They want to find out more about the podcast, the book, all you got coming up. So tell them how they can stay connected with you and even reach out and connect with you, man.
Oh, totally. I'd love to hear from you guys first and foremost. So please reach out. I'm most active on Insta
Okay.
and the Facebook fan page. So Instagram is at Josh Ritcher. That's JOSHRITCHER.
Mhm.
And then the website is yourmentalbest.com.
Okay.
The podcast is Your Mental Best. And if anything excited you, the upcoming book, the 8-week course, the video course that I'm shooting, and the app, just go to yourmentalbest.com. I created a little email sign up. And don't worry, I'm very serious on this. I hate spam. I
Yep.
really, really hate spam and
Yep.
salesy emails. So I will only keep you up to date when I launch these products. So believe
Awesome.
me when I say that I hate that crap too. So I'm going to be really mindful and very gentle with your emails. And I promise I'll only send you updates on the good stuff that is meant to help you and to help all of us. You know, it's
That's
like,
right.
that's the true goal. So it's like, I want to go from, into full lives of thriving and just joy and happiness and appreciation. And I feel like I'm even still early on in that quest. I could do so much more. So I'm just so grateful for all the tools that I've learned, all the teachers that I've had, and all the amazing, inspiring people like you that I get to share this journey with.
Yes.
And share fun ideas and share inspirations and things that we've both learned. It's just and this platform that you could hear to really just expose these amazing, beautiful people to all to A to Z, what is working for people out there, and what, because different things work for different people and different ones of us. I'm an audio person. I'm not a big reader. I love audiobooks, and that works for me. And so it's like, grab little nuggets from and create your own amalgamation. Believe what speaks to your heart is your truth. And so I think for everybody out there, it's like, there's no one real set path, and these are all just useful suggestions. But whatever perched up your heart, grab that and snap it together like little Legos and build this cool multicolored house, because that's what it's all about, is just staying genuine and being truthful to you.
I love it. Josh, this is so powerful. Everyone, stay connected with this epic human being. Big, big things coming from you, Josh. And I appreciate you taking the time to share with our audience, to love on us, man, and just share about your journey and, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever, like the contrast, the gifts, the lessons, because it's really shaped you into this beautiful being you are today, man. Force of light and love that's awakening the planet. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate you too, and all the listeners, and the work that I want to acknowledge the work that everybody's doing, and that it isn't easy. And we have bosses who are, jerks, and we've got challenging situations that really test our new knowledge and push us. And we've got, maybe family members that don't believe in this stuff, and we're having to bust out of those boxes that we've been put in, from our past. And so I just want to acknowledge all the work that all of you are doing to push through and to break through and to be bigger, better, brighter, and not just bigger in a sense of, sort of an ego way of being a bigger human being,
right? A bigger light, a bigger force in the world. Like, the world's counting on you. People need you.
Exactly, man. It's like, you're filling up your well so that you can feed and water, hundreds of thousands of people. It's like, you got to fill yourself first and make yourself whole. And it's not from an ego point. It's from it's like, now I feel like this responsibility to like fill myself so that I can just keep giving, and I can just, and I have so much more to give now from this whole place than I do from when I was thinking small and living small and living in hope and living in fear and all of that. It's like there was nothing to give because I was just stuck in survival. And so bless all of you for all of the amazing work that you're doing, so that you can go on to inspire and help and just be amazing people out in the world. I'm just so stoked for all of you guys.
I love it. I love your big heart, Josh. You're such an amazing man, and anyone who's in a relationship with you, has you in their life, is just absolutely blessed. The Shark Tank crew and team and Sharks are blessed to have you there, and your presence, your intention, your energy, your love, man. You're doing amazing things, and this is just the freaking beginning of the impact.
Man.
Huge impact is coming for us, man. So, dude, I appreciate you. Have an amazing rest of your day, okay, Josh?
Thank you, Chris. Yourself as well. Thank you, everybody, and have a blessed and wonderful afternoon. Enjoy learning more. I mean, what an amazing lineup. Holy cow. You guys are in it. You are in growth mode. So
That's right, baby.
Thank you again.
Awesome. We'll see you soon, Josh.
All right.